The tattoo that changed everything. Marcus Webb kept his head down as he adjusted the weights on the bench press, the familiar clang of metal against metal echoing through the specialized gym. At 34, he'd perfected the art of invisibility, just another guy working out, nothing special, nobody worth noticing. His daughter's soccer practice started in 90 minutes, which gave him just enough time for his routine before picking up Emma from school. That's what his life had become, a precise schedule of drop-offs, pickups, meals, and homework, punctuated by these stolen moments of physical exertion that kept the nightmares at bay. He didn't talk to anyone at the gym. Didn't make eye contact. The other veterans who trained here, former SEALs, Rangers, Marines, they all had their own demons to wrestle with, their own reasons for seeking the sanctuary of sweat and iron. Marcus respected that invisible boundary. He'd been coming here for 2 years, ever since he'd moved back to San Diego with Emma, and he'd maybe spoken a dozen words to anyone beyond, "Excuse me," and "Thanks." The tattoo on his neck was usually hidden beneath his collar, but today's tank top left it partially visible, a small trident intertwined with coordinates that looked like decoration to anyone who didn't know better. He'd thought about getting it removed 100 times, but it was the last piece of the man he used to be, before everything fell apart. Marcus was halfway through his set when he felt eyes on him. Not the casual glance of someone waiting for equipment, but the deliberate focus of someone who recognized something they weren't supposed to see. He finished his rep and sat up, reaching for his water bottle, trying to ignore the prickling sensation at the base of his skull. "Those coordinates," a woman's voice said from behind him, steady and measured. "Helmand Province. Operation Red Dawn." Marcus froze, water bottle halfway to his lips. His heart hammered against his ribs as he slowly turned. She stood 5 feet away, dressed in standard PT gear, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. Commander's insignia gleamed on her gym bag. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold, sharp, knowing, and filled with something that looked like recognition mixed with disbelief. "You're Marcus Webb," she continued, and it wasn't a question. "I read your file. 6 years ago. You died in that operation." The bottle slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the rubber floor. Around them, the gym continued its rhythmic symphony of grunts and clanging weights, oblivious to the earthquake happening in Marcus's chest. Nobody was supposed to know. That was the deal. That was how he'd gotten out. "I think you have me confused with someone else," he said quietly, already calculating exit routes, how fast he could get to Emma's school, where they could go. Commander Sarah Chen, he could read her name on the bag now, stepped closer, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "The file said you were Kia. But I never believed it. The coordinates on your neck, the after-action report, none of it added up. I was a junior intelligence officer then, fresh out of Annapolis, and your case bothered me for years. I kept digging until my CO told me to drop it, that some things were classified above my pay grade." Marcus's jaw tightened. He grabbed his towel, slinging it around his neck to cover the tattoo. "Look, Commander, I don't know what you think you know, but I'm nobody. I'm just a guy trying to get through a workout before I pick up my kid from school." "Your daughter," Sarah said softly, and something in her tone made Marcus meet her eyes again. There was no threat there, no accusation. Just a bone-deep weariness that matched his own. "I'm not here to report you, Chief Webb. Or whoever you're supposed to be now. I'm here because I've spent 6 years wondering what really happened on that mountain, and why the Navy would declare one of their finest operators dead when the evidence suggested otherwise." The words hung between them like a live grenade. Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest, the weight of secrets that had crushed him for so long. He should walk away. Grab his bag, leave the gym, never come back. Maybe leave San Diego entirely. But something in Sarah's eyes held him there, a genuine need to understand, not to expose. "Not here," he finally said, his voice rough. "There's a coffee shop 2 blocks west. I can give you 30 minutes. That's all." 20 minutes later, they sat in a corner booth of a half-empty cafe that smelled like burned espresso and old pastries. Marcus stared at his untouched coffee, trying to figure out where to even begin. Sarah waited patiently, and he appreciated that she didn't push, didn't demand. "I did die on that mountain," he finally said. "The man I was, anyway. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, SEAL Team 6, died when I watched my entire team get torn apart because someone in our chain of command sold us out." Sarah's sharp intake of breath told him she understood. "Insider intelligence leak. I suspected, but I could never prove it." "You couldn't prove it because everyone who knew was either dead or disappeared by the DoD. Marcus's hands tightened around his coffee cup. "I was the only one who survived that ambush. Barely. I was extracted by a CIA team that wasn't supposed to exist, spent 8 months in a black site hospital, and when I finally woke up properly, they gave me a choice: stay dead and walk away, or come back and spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder while they tried to silence me permanently." "So you chose Emma," Sarah said quietly. Marcus's eyes snapped up. "How do you?" "I told you, I dug. Your wife died in a car accident 3 years ago. Officially, your daughter went to live with her maternal grandparents. But I'm guessing that was you, using a new identity, taking custody." Sarah leaned forward. "I'm not judging you, Marcus. I'm trying to understand the depth of the corruption that could make one of our warriors choose to become a ghost." For the first time in 6 years, Marcus felt the weight on his chest loosen slightly. Someone knew. Someone understood. And she wasn't holding a weapon or a phone to report him. "I couldn't protect my team," he said, his voice cracking despite his efforts to control it. 8 men. Brothers. They died because I led them into a trap. But I could protect Emma. That's all I have now. She's 7 years old, and she thinks her dad is a boring IT consultant named Mark Wheeler who coaches her soccer team and makes terrible pancakes. That's my life now, and it's enough." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her intelligence officer's mind clearly processing everything. "The people who sold you out, they're still out there. Still in positions of power." "Yes. And you've just been living with that knowledge, watching your back, raising your daughter alone." "Yes. That's not sustainable, Marcus. Eventually, something will slip. Someone else will recognize you." "What then?" Marcus had thought about this every single day for 6 years. "Then Emma and I disappear again. I've got 3 backup identities, money stashed in places nobody can trace, extraction plans for a dozen scenarios. I won't let them hurt her because of what I know." "What if you didn't have to run?" Sarah asked. "That's not possible." "What if it was?" She pulled out her phone, scrolled through something, then turned it toward him. Marcus saw names, ranks, locations. His breath caught as he recognized several of them, high-ranking officers who'd been junior personnel 6 years ago, now risen through the ranks. And one name in particular made his blood run cold. "Admiral Richard Thornton," Sarah said. "He was a captain back then, assigned to Joint Special Operations Command. I've been building a case against him for 3 years, completely off the books. He's dirty, Marcus. Arms deals with contractors, intelligence sold to the highest bidder, and I believe he was the one who compromised your operation." Marcus pushed the phone away like it was contaminated. "You need to stop. Right now. These people don't leave loose ends." "I know. That's why I need your testimony. You're the only living witness to what happened on that mountain. With your statement, I have enough to go to the Inspector General, maybe even the Senate Intelligence Committee. We can bring him down. And paint a target on my daughter's back." Marcus stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I died to protect her, Commander. I'm not going to undo that because you want to play hero." Sarah stood too, but she didn't try to stop him. "I'm not playing anything. I'm trying to fix a